Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Colin Canet. Today I'm doing a put-off job that I should have done years and years ago, and that is to make a case for my chainsaw. So this is the first case that I made, or the only case that I've made, and let me show you in here what it looks like and why I need to change this. So all of this is all empty space in here, empty space here, empty space here. So of course this is an electric chainsaw, and there's the monster battery, and of course there's the chain. And if you have a gas chainsaw, you need to mix oil with the gas in order to run it, but you also need to put oil to oil the chain. And you still, even with an electric chainsaw, you still have to have oil for the chain, and that's where the oil goes in here. And these things always leak. Every chainsaw I've ever used or had, they always leak the chain oil. And the reason you need chain oil is not to lubricate the chain per se. People think that you have to lubricate the links. No. What you're lubricating in a chainsaw is that groove. Let me give you a close-up of that. The reason you need chain oil is to lubricate these little drive links underneath here that run in that groove along there. If you don't do that, they can get so hot they'll actually seize in that groove. And this is where the oil goes in. And even though I drain it after I use it, if I'm not going to be using the chainsaw for a day or two, I drain the oil out of there, and it still weeps. This one is still weeping 5 months later, and that's why I need to keep this a plastic tray under it, because every time you set it down somewhere, it weeps oil. Okay, well, I made an executive decision here, and that's what the base is going to look like. So it's going to have a couple little jogs in it, but it's going to save a ton of space, and it's just going to be so much more convenient. So the first thing I need to do is cut out the base, and then from that I can build the rest around that. Okay, I happened to find an offcut of plywood that I had that's just the right size. So I'm just going to measure from my template, because I just double checked my template and it's perfect. So I'm going to transfer this to my plywood, cut some of it off on the table saw and the rest off on the bandsaw. I'm probably not going to get to show you every step along the way because it's a bit tedious. Where I'm at, I've found a little plastic tray that'll work perfectly to catch the oil, and I can put a foam liner in there. This is a offset because the saw rocks if you don't have something underneath the beginning of it. And I've cut an angle in here because this is going to be the front of the saw. But before I attach this, so what I'm going to do is glue and toenail that with my 23 gauge printer, or 23 gauge pinner. There we go. How's that one? Looks good. So I decided that I can't really put the top on until I put the back side on. So what I'm going to do is cut all of these individual pieces here. They're all going to be custom fit, and of course they're all going to have to match up to the roof, or where the top is going to be. So all of these are going to be custom cuts, and to put these on, I'm be using these 45-degree angles here and gluing and tacking all the way along here. So I don't think I'll show all of this because it's kind of tedious. Okay, well, there it is, such as it is. That was a lot of work piecing this all together, and the glue is still a bit on the damp side, so I'm not going to do anything. I want to leave it so that glue hardens, because I've noticed that this little area in here is just a little bit on the high side, so I'm not quite sure. Well, I'm not quite sure how far I have to take it down. Not much, and I think I can sand most of that maybe with a fine belt sander or something. Okay, well, that's nice and hard now, and I'm actually not as bad as I first thought, so that's good. I used my die grinder. There was a little bit of a bump here. I used my die grinder to sort of level that off, so that's good. I'm going to use my plane here. I'm going to need to do some sharpening. It needs a little bit of a touch-up, but there's a little bit of a high spot along here, so I'm going to plane that down and a tiny bit down here, and that should be perfect. So I'll finish that up, and then we'll get ready to put the top on. Okay. All right. Yeah, it just needs a bit of a touch-up. So what do we got here? 1800, and that's going to take that one. I don't really need to do much here. I'm just going to, basically, I'm just going to be polishing. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Doesn't take that much. I don't know if you can see, but it's just absolutely just like a mirror on there now. Oh, wow. Okay, let's do one last one on here. Yeah. Do a little bit on the back. Yeah, that's perfect. All right, now we can finish that up. Okay, let's do a quick check of that blade. Yeah. Okay, so I was able to clean up those joints, all of these edges that were a little bit overlapping. And of course, this is used wood, so there's going to be the odd hole here and there, but anyway, it'll satisfy. Now I'm going to take it, and I'm just going to take it away and give it a quick, nice coat of spray paint, and when I come back, we'll be able to put the catches on. Okay, well, there you have the unveiling of the black chainsaw case. The only thing I have left to do is I want to put a couple of holds, fasteners on there, and I looked around. I've already talked about this briefly. I actually do have some Velcro brand hook and loop, and I'm going to cut that appropriately into some strips here, and I'll attach the front and the back. Now, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to be using something called Chicago screws. Now, let me show you a close-up, because some of you will go, well, what is a Chicago screw? So there's a close-up of what a Chicago screw is. So basically, it's a little bolt, and of course there's a slot for a screwdriver, and there's nothing in the other side. It looks almost like a rivet, and of course you can see that they screw together like that. Now the purpose of that is to give you something to hold on both sides, and in this case I need something to hold the Velcro on the outside of this lid here. So okay, so I managed to get a punch through the hook and loop here, the Velcro, and I put the back in here, and it looks like I managed to pick, I even managed to pick the right thickness. Okay, now one last thing. There's the little tray that I have, very thin tray, and I'm using this, it's like a Scotch-Brite pad in here. It's like a, sort of like a foam or a fiber. You get that at the automotive store. And it's to sit in there so that the oil from the chainsaw, the chain oil, is not going to move around in there. And also, when I take this out, I can just lay that in a funnel, and the oil will literally run out of that already pre-filtered. So I don't know how well it's going to work, but I'm going to try it. So here's the test of the chainsaw. And that should fit in there just nicely. There we go. Sits in there, locks up tight. That's perfect. Bit of dust from the workshop. That's perfect. That's exactly what I need. It doesn't take up a huge amount of room. It'll fit in the back seat of my truck, or of course in the under the canopy. That's excellent. Well, that concludes my video for today. I gotta say, I am just thrilled to death with this little case. Super handy. Gonna save me a ton of room in my storage area, and it fits nicely in the back seat of my truck. And of course in the canopy, it's painted black so you can't see it. It doesn't stick out if somebody's going to be snooping around my truck when I'm not around and I happen to have the chainsaw in it. Even if it's locked, you never know what people are going to do these days. Anyway, I'm pretty happy with this. And I use this chainsaw once in a while for collecting trees that have been falling down. Sometimes I can cut off a 2-foot length of it and run that through my bandsaw to get some spalted wood. I did a video on that back here. You can go and check that out sometime. I'm Colin Canet for Woodwork Web. Thanks for watching.